Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the subtotal function in Excel. Now, subtotal is another useful way of totaling up your data, and it's got a number of useful tricks up its sleeve. Let's start by taking a look at the syntax. So in this spreadsheet, I want to put a subtotal in for my books. So we put in equals subtotal. Now the first part of your formula is the type of total that you want. Now, as you can see here, we've got average, count, count A, max, min, product, some standard deviation ones, and the sum, some variable ones. And then there's the same options, but starting at 101 through to 111. So what we do in this instance, say we want the sum. So we put in 8, 9. So you can either select it from the list and tab over, or you can simply type in the number 9. And then the second part of your formula is the cells you want to add up. Now these don't have to be adjacent to each other, they can be anywhere on your spreadsheet, but in this instance we want to just select these cells. And what that does is it totals those up. The difference between the two parts of your formula, so say for sum between 9 and 109, is that if you select 109, if you hide any rows, then it will exclude those from the sum total. So if we put those in, this is our total, then we hide a few rows, you'll see that the total changes. However, if we were to change that back to a 9, it will bring up the full total, including the hidden rows. So this is one of the areas in which subtotal is useful, particularly if you have a spreadsheet where you want to find totals, excluding hidden columns. So let's unhide those again. And let's copy our formula down, making sure that we select the correct rows. So now we're going to use subtotal to total up all our values. So we equal subtotal. We'll keep it at 9. And we're going to select everything on here. The reason for this is that subtotal, when it's looking at its cells, it will exclude any other subtotals that are in the mix. This is quite handy if you've got a very large spreadsheet. You can then just select your total column and hit enter. And what you'll notice if we test this, so if we just add up a sum of the subtotals, you'll see that those two values match. So this subtotal has excluded these individual values here. This means that in your subtotals here, we could add in another one. So if we insert and say we want to do an average, so equals subtotal, average is a number 1, and we want to average all of these, it will still not include this subtotal in the mix. So we might want to add in a few. So I'm adding in a count, so count's a number 2. Same ones, and hit enter. Obviously you would want to format that one as a number. And as you can see, in every instance, it hasn't included these in the total. So this can be a useful way of displaying data where you want subtotals and potentially a number of different types of subtotal throughout your workbook. However, how do you quickly apply it to your raw data? When I started this video, I already had my subtotal columns in, but what you can do instead if you have your raw data in a spreadsheet, you can see here that everything's a bit mixed up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sort this by our first column, our item type. And then what you can do on this data tab at the very right hand side here, you've got your subtotal button. So if we hit subtotal, you'll get this dialog box. And what you can do is set up your subtotal. So we want it for each change in our item type. We want to sum that, and we want to apply it to both our annual item and sales value columns. You can choose, if you've already got subtotals in your sheet, you can choose whether to replace them or not. For printing, you can put a page break between your different groups, and we're going to choose to put some summary data below. So if we hit on OK, you'll see that it's automatically subtotaled, giving you a total for books, giving you a total for games, magazines, newspapers, and then your grand total. You can format them as you desire. What it's also done here on the edge is it's given you some suggested groupings so you can hide or unhide your data. I could select my data again and hit subtotal and say I don't want to replace my current subtotal, but I want to put in an average figure and hit OK. It will then also put in your averages. So that's how to quickly apply your subtotals without having to do it manually, as I showed you in the first instance. However, one point to note is that in your totals in here, you will see that it has put it in so that even if you hide cells, they will still appear. This is because with your grouping, obviously if you hide your cells, you want it still to show the total. If you want to change that, you would need to click into your cell and change your reference. However, if you then use these hide bars on the side, your total would just come to 0. If you want to quickly see which cells have your formulas in it, you can go into your Formulas tab and click on the Show Formulas button. And then you can quickly see which of your rows have these subtotal references. So if we switch that back off, the last thing you might want to do is you might want to remove your grouping here. We can select all the rows. To do this, you can either select your workbook or the rows in relation to, and if we go back to our data tab and go back to our ungroup button over here on the right hand side, we can click clear outline and it will clear all the grouping. I'll touch a little more on the outline options in another video. So that's a brief introduction to the subtotal function and how it works. I do hope that you found it useful. Please do leave me a comment below, like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.